This part of the course is kind of a rough bump, but on the other hand, this is the last lecture, so once you get past this, it becomes a lot easier, and then we'll hit other rough bumps along the road. But anyway, I need to go out and get data, but what the heck am I going to go do with that data, and what does it mean? I mean, what's useful to me and what's not useful to me? And what this has to do about is what's referred to as design of experiments or conjoint analysis, and they're actually fundamental ideas. Now, if we're going to do this in great detail, it's actually a graduate level topic, and so I'm just going to go over the basic ideas of it and concepts. And so this is the hard truth about every consumer. They want everything and they don't want to have to pay for it. So in terms of my marketing mix, it's like, well, what product features should I have so they are going to pay for it? What range of price are they going to pay? And what distribution networks are going to work that they're going to connect with? So they're the things I want to know. Depending on who you believe, new product failure rates can be as high as 80 to 90%. On the other hand, some other studies challenge it, and they say it's really only 30 to 40%. But either way you add it up, that's a heck of a lot of failure. And so what market research is an objective and systematic approach to gathering information. And so here are the basic approaches of how you get marketing data. You could do it by interviews. You can use reference data, meaning the data might always already be out there. Like, for example, if I want to know how many women there are in the United States or something like that. You can use surveys. You can get innovative, and that's that use web tools, whether it's social networks, do guerrilla marketing, which we'll talk about later, use big data algorithms. And typically this is the approach you use for a new product. And it's referred to as a mixed approach. And that's that you start out by interviewing. Why? You don't know anything about the field. So you want to get an idea by talking to people and keep asking questions, because you don't know what questions to ask, but get a feel for what it is. And then based on that, you move on to a survey. You mathematically model it. And then you go back and you make changes. Typically when you do surveys, you never do one, you do multiple surveys. Not only that, but once you figure out who your customers are, you want to embed with them. Meaning you want to really figure out how do they use your product. You want to know every last nuance, because that's the way you get better. So traditionally people have used surveys. The thing is, surveys are limited. I mean, are they really telling you what you want to know? Or are they just filling something out? Are you talking to the right people? Now, surveys have come under fire saying that they're outdated and all, but because of online, you can get a lot of data in a hurry, so there is still a place for it. And so digital allows you to get greater insight. Not only that, those digital survey programs have a lot of analytical tools, a lot of math that it'll do for you. And so what you're actually doing with your surveys is you're still balancing richness and reach, meaning you want to talk to the right people, but at the same time you want to talk to a lot of people. So in terms of market research, what is it that we're trying to find? How do I get that information? And what does it mean? And that's the crux of what market research is about. Can I put it off? Can I just do it for my big products? And it's like, no, because of the earlier you can learn, the more efficient that you'll be able to execute. You don't need a big budget for this. There's a lot of free tools, but there is a lot of sweat in it. In terms of market research cases, one of the most famous is New Coke. And what happened with New Coke is for 15 years, Coke was losing market share and value, and their brand awareness was getting low. So what they decided, it was time to reinvigorate the brand. They were going to make a new Coke. They did 200,000 taste tests, and they came out very positive. And so what happened? The product flopped. People complained, and the original product was back up. Personally, I liked New Coke because it was a taste somewhere between Coke and Pepsi, and I like both. They're different experiences. But anyway, what they did in their survey is that they severely underestimated how people felt about the old brand. And so it was a disaster. But maybe it wasn't a disaster, because all of a sudden, all these people became passionate about their brand again, and it reinvigorated. So in that sense, it was quite successful. Another example of data gone bad, the Iridium project by Motorola, $5 billion loss. And that's that Motorola decided they were going to do these low orbit satellites and be able to do cell phones that way. They severely underestimated the competition. They didn't realize. They thought, oh, if you're going to do cell phone towers, you're going to have to build thousands of those things. Well, they did build thousands of those things, and it turns out they went up very quickly, much more easily than sending up satellites. They were priced way too high. Their data was wrong about that, of what people would pay for satellite phones. Not only that, but as it turns out, they didn't have enough satellites, and so they got drops and things like that. And it's because it was line of sight. And so all across the board, all this data that Motorola got that told them people will want this, they were wrong, and plus they didn't execute on it. And so Motorola took a humongous bath on that, a huge black eye. So what kind of information do you want as you get started? Well, one of the big failures of Coke is they didn't ask the most basic question: do you want a new cola? Again, this is all about a hypothesis. You have an idea and you have to prove it. And what design of experiments is about is design of experiments tells you which variables are important and which ones aren't. And so this gives you insight. You can learn about what groups of customers are going to buy in and what aren't. In the next video, we'll start to talk about design of experiments.